Nick's shocking murder plot changes everything. In this explosive The Young and the Restless recap for May 13th, Nick Newman secretly plans Matt Clark's murder with Detective James Burrows' help, taking his revenge to a dangerous new level. Meanwhile, Phyllis uncovers Matt Clark's true identity, putting her directly in the middle of the chaos. Lily fiercely warns Phyllis to stay away from Kane, while Patty stuns everyone by making a bold proposition to Matt. Victor Newman also faces a major setback as shocking twists threaten to bring both him and Phyllis crashing down. Genoa City is heading toward total disaster. Welcome to A Mysterious Time TV, where the drama unfolds and the stories captivate. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of Young and the Restless, uncovering untold stories and hidden truths behind the headlines. Nick's deadly mission escalates as Phyllis uncovers Matt Clark's shocking identity. Wednesday's episode of The Young and the Restless delivered explosive confrontations, emotional conflicts, and a dangerous new plan involving Nick Newman. While Phyllis Summers finally realized who the mysterious stranger in town really was, Nick became increasingly determined to eliminate Matt Clark permanently, even if it meant committing murder in front of a police detective. Lily pushes Devin to face the truth about Mariah. At Society, Lily Winters met with Devin Hamilton and Nate Hastings over wine as she prepared to head to New York the following day. Kane's stem cell donation procedure was approaching, and Lily admitted she was deeply worried about possible complications from the surgery. Devin was stunned that Lily seemed so focused on Kane's well-being considering everything that had happened. Lily explained that her concerns stretched beyond Kane alone and included Malcolm as well. She asked Nate for reassurance about the medical risks, and he calmly told her that these procedures are usually handled with extreme caution. According to Nate, keeping donors safe is essential because doctors want people to remain willing to donate tissue when needed. Still, Lily admitted her optimism had faded lately. Kane's arrest had shaken her badly, though she confessed his willingness to violate bail conditions to help Malcolm in New York made her feel somewhat reassured. Devin reacted with visible disgust, sarcastically praising Kane for promises he may never have had to keep. The tension quickly escalated. Lily grew frustrated with Devin's constant criticism of Kane, while Devin argued that Kane was once again managing to earn sympathy and work his way back into Lily's life. Lily insisted Devin was being unfair and overly judgmental. Nate attempted to mediate, explaining that Devin was simply trying to protect his sister. However, Lily believed Devin's anger wasn't really about Kane at all. She suspected his bitterness was actually connected to Mariah Copeland. When Lily pushed further, Devin finally admitted the truth. He remained furious about Mariah and the lack of justice surrounding everything that happened. Abby's more forgiving attitude only made his frustration worse. Devin confessed he had no idea where to direct his anger anymore, especially since Dominic had recently started asking about Mariah and wanting to see her. Lily suggested Devin's emotions might actually be rooted in fear rather than rage. Although Dominic was currently safe, Devin worried that could change at any moment. Feeling helpless, he admitted he didn't know how to move forward. Lily encouraged him to confront those emotions directly instead of avoiding them. Her advice was simple but difficult: he needed to meet with Mariah face-to-face if he truly wanted healing. Later, after taking a phone call, Lily returned and once again urged Devin to give himself an opportunity to heal by confronting Mariah personally. Before leaving, she also asked both men to keep Kane in their thoughts ahead of the procedure. Though Devin agreed to follow Lily's advice about Mariah, he made it clear his opinion of Kane had not changed. In Devin's eyes, Kane still represented trouble, and he warned that Lily would regret allowing him back into their lives. Adam fears Nick is spiraling out of control. Meanwhile, at the Newman Ranch, Adam Newman and Nick Newman arrived expecting to meet Victor Newman, only to discover he wasn't home yet. Adam immediately noticed Nick's erratic behavior and growing agitation. Pretending to casually offer him food, Adam instead used the moment to probe Nick about his recent conduct. Nick quickly realized where the conversation was heading and bluntly asked whether Adam suspected he was using drugs again. Adam didn't hesitate. "Are you using again?" Nick never directly answered. Instead, he dismissed the accusation by claiming he had no way to even obtain drugs. He sarcastically offered to let Adam search his pockets if it would make him feel better. Adam pointed out that Nick's refusal to answer directly was concerning in itself. Nick blamed his behavior on stress, exhaustion, anger, and other emotional pressures rather than relapse. Adam quietly added lonely to the list, but Nick brushed it aside. Nick's attention remained fixed on Matt Clark. He explained that locating Matt should not be difficult because the man was supposedly suffering from amnesia and likely had no idea where to hide. Adam argued that Nick was too emotionally involved to handle the situation rationally. That warning only intensified Nick's determination. Nick admitted he wanted a permanent solution. Adam immediately realized what he meant and cautioned that killing Matt could destroy Nick's life. Nick argued that Matt would become violently dangerous once cornered, making lethal force necessary. Nick then revealed his shocking plan involving Detective James Burrow. He wanted the detective present as a witness so Burrow could later testify that Nick acted in self-defense after Matt attacked him first. Adam was horrified. He told Nick the plan amounted to premeditated murder and could easily lead to a life sentence. Even Adam, someone Nick jokingly described as morally flexible, believed Nick was preparing to cross a line that could never be undone. Adam begged him to allow Victor's security professionals to handle Matt instead. Nick refused completely, insisting he was done listening to advice. Furious and determined, he stormed out before Victor even arrived home. Victor learns about Nick's dangerous plan. When Victor finally returned to the ranch, he immediately asked Adam where Nick had gone and how he seemed emotionally. Adam admitted Nick appeared unstable, describing extreme mood swings and bursts of energy followed by emotional crashes. He confessed he suspected Nick had relapsed into drug use again. Victor believed proper rehab treatment might help stabilize Nick, but Adam quickly shifted the discussion toward the bigger danger, Nick's murder plan. Adam explained that Nick intended to kill Matt Clark himself and manipulate the situation so Detective Burrow would support a self-defense claim. Victor strongly objected to the idea. He insisted he would never allow Nick to carry out such a reckless act. Adam agreed and warned they needed to intervene quickly before Nick acted on his plan. Sharon and Noah debate how to handle Matt. At Sharon Newman's house, Sharon and Noah Newman welcomed Victor while discussing the ongoing search for Matt Clark. Victor confirmed Matt was alive and somewhere in Genoa City. His investigators were reviewing surveillance footage and following every lead possible. However, Victor remained skeptical about the reports of Matt's amnesia. Noah explained that Matt genuinely seemed confused during a recent interaction with Audra Charles. Still, Sharon and Victor questioned whether the memory loss was simply another manipulation tactic. Noah suggested they should consider the possibility that Matt's condition was real because it could finally give them an advantage. If Matt truly didn't remember his enemies, they might be able to catch him off guard. Victor agreed that quick action would be necessary. Sharon, however, strongly opposed the idea of family members personally confronting Matt. She argued that they had enough money and resources to hire trained professionals instead of risking their own safety. Victor sympathized with Sharon's fears but ultimately sided with Noah. He believed it was the family's responsibility to protect one another. Nick announces his plan to kill Matt. The situation became even more alarming when Nick arrived at Sharon's house. Sharon hoped Nick would discourage Noah from pursuing Matt personally, but Nick surprised everyone by partially supporting Noah's idea. He acknowledged the danger yet refused to dismiss direct action entirely. Nick then revealed his own strategy. Because Matt had already seen Noah's face during the earlier attack, Nick believed Noah should stay away. Instead, Nick planned to confront Matt himself while bringing Detective Burrow along. Nick chillingly explained that he would ensure Matt struck first. Once that happened, Nick intended to kill him under the justification of self-defense. Both Sharon and Noah were horrified. Sharon immediately called the plan what it truly was: premeditated murder. Noah warned his father not to let Matt transform him into the same kind of monster they were fighting against. Sharon also became increasingly convinced Nick needed urgent treatment for addiction issues and emotional instability. She insisted Victor's security team should handle the threat instead. Nick remained unmoved. He declared that he no longer cared about the consequences, prison, guilt, or even destroying himself, as long as Matt Clark was stopped permanently. Phyllis finally learns the truth about Matt Clark. Over at Crimson Lights, Patty Williams was enthusiastically sharing stories about growing up in Genoa City with the mysterious man currently calling himself Matt Clark. Patty reminisced about dating Danny Romalotti years earlier and seemed disappointed when Matt failed to recognize the famous musician's name. She admitted her heart had ultimately belonged to someone else. Watching nearby, Phyllis Summers quickly became irritated and decided to interrupt the conversation. Phyllis openly mocked Patty, accusing her of targeting the newest person in town with lies and manipulation. Matt asked whether the two women had a complicated history, giving Phyllis the perfect opportunity to unleash a lengthy rant. She described Patty as dangerous and mentally unstable, listing her long history of crimes and violent acts. Phyllis even brought up Patty's attempt to use Summer's peanut allergy against her. Patty quietly excused herself and left, though she told Matt she hoped they could speak again. Phyllis quickly shut that idea down and followed Patty to the door to make sure she departed. Once alone again, Matt pointed out that every interaction he'd had with Phyllis somehow involved conflict with local residents. Phyllis insisted Patty was truly dangerous and warned him to stay far away from her. Matt listened carefully and then raised an interesting question: what if Patty genuinely couldn't remember the terrible things she had done? The conversation revealed Matt was beginning to identify with Patty's situation because several people in town clearly distrusted him too. Phyllis argued that Patty's crimes were too serious to ever be forgiven. Matt, however, questioned whether Phyllis ever believed people were capable of changing. He even compared her hostility toward Patty with her complicated feelings about Kane. Their conversation gradually turned more personal and flirtatious. Matt admitted he recently remembered being from Los Angeles, prompting Phyllis to tease him about finally recalling something. Matt asked whether Phyllis had ever felt completely lost in life. She claimed she always maintained a strong sense of identity, though she became increasingly suspicious that Matt might simply be a charming manipulator with a forgotten wife somewhere. Trying to understand him better, Phyllis grilled Matt with questions about his past, but he still lacked concrete answers. He admitted Noah and Victor's names had surfaced during hostile encounters, suggesting people in town already viewed him as dangerous. Finally, Phyllis asked him his full name again. Matt calmly replied with the name he had recently learned: Matt Clark. The moment instantly changed everything. Phyllis froze in stunned silence as the realization hit her. The mysterious stranger she had been talking to all this time was the very man connected to the chaos terrorizing Genoa City. Next update. Tuesday's episode of The Young and the Restless delivered intense confrontations, emotional warnings, and a surprising new connection as Lily came after Phyllis. Patty Williams crossed paths with Matt Clark, and Jack tried to convince Nikki to finally move on from Victor. Lily arrived aboard Kane's train searching for her ex and found him staring at a framed picture of her. Kane joked that he was using the photo to manifest his future, while Lily handed him his favorite cookies as a thank you for helping Malcolm. Their conversation soon turned serious when Kane revealed he would undergo his medical procedure the next day. He apologized for not being able to handle it in New York, but Lily assured him transporting the stem cells from Genoa City made sense, especially considering the legal risks he faced. Kane admitted he had no idea how to prove the incriminating emails against him were fake. Unfortunately, he also confessed that much of what was written in them was close to the truth, making the situation even worse. He reflected bitterly on Victor taking Arabesque, the last company he had built alongside his father, and regretted ever getting involved with Phyllis. Lily, however, believed helping Malcolm had finally stopped Kane's downward spiral. As they continued talking, Kane revealed he had once planned to hand everything back to Victor in exchange for Phyllis and the children, but Victor still tied him to the forged emails. Lily insisted Kane should not be blamed for actions Phyllis took on her own. Furious, she vowed not to let Phyllis destroy him in the process. Meanwhile, at the club, Jack sat alone looking troubled until Nikki arrived sporting a dramatic 1960s-inspired hairstyle. She teased Jack for secretly hoping Diane would walk through the door. Jack admitted he was beginning to wonder whether his wife would ever truly be happy to see him again. Their conversation shifted to Nikki's painful separation from Victor. Although Nikki admitted she missed both Victor and the life they once shared, Jack reminded her that Victor had repeatedly hurt her. He encouraged her to see this moment as an opportunity for a fresh start rather than another cycle of reconciliation. Jack strongly urged Nikki not to be the one who gave in this time, insisting Victor had never truly met her halfway. Elsewhere at society, Diane congratulated Sally on both her engagement and pregnancy. The women bonded over their struggles to fit into the Abbott family and discussed Billy's recent maturity and better decision-making. Diane assured Sally she supported her, but Sally eventually steered the conversation toward Diane's unresolved issues with Jack. Diane admitted she could not decide whether Jack was more devastated by the betrayal itself or simply by getting caught. Deep down, Diane confessed that if she could move past the pain and reconnect with the love they once shared, she would do it instantly. Sally gently suggested that Diane's anger might be rooted in older emotional wounds and feelings of unworthiness. At Crimson Lights, Billy's day took a bizarre turn when he literally bumped into Patty Williams after finishing a phone call with his children. Billy immediately suspected Patty had returned to Genoa City to target Jack again. Patty insisted she had changed and claimed that eventually everyone would recognize the new Patty. Billy remained skeptical, especially after Patty compared her troubled history to his own mistakes. Billy fired back that while he had made bad choices, he had never terrorized an entire family the way she had. Patty defended herself by arguing she had been mentally unstable during those dark moments and even denied harming Jack against his will during their infamous yacht incident. As Billy stormed away, another familiar face entered Crimson Lights, Matt Clark. Patty did not recognize him at first, but Matt asked whether his name meant anything to her. Patty joked that a Matt Clark sounded like some stereotypical all-American athlete. Matt explained that he was suffering from memory gaps after an accident and hoped someone could help him piece together his identity. Later, Billy joined Diane and Sally at Society and warned them about Patty's unsettling comments. Diane dismissed Patty's claims of redemption, but Billy cautioned that Patty had hinted at finding a way to deal with Diane. He urged Diane to take the warnings seriously. The biggest showdown of the episode came when Lily marched straight into Phyllis's office. Lily demanded that Phyllis make it clear to authorities that Kane had nothing to do with the Newman takeover scheme. Phyllis sarcastically asked what would happen if she refused. Lily did not hesitate. She coldly warned that she would personally destroy Phyllis if Kane was dragged down with her. Phyllis appeared amused and insisted Lily's threats meant nothing to her. Lily argued Kane was innocent, while Phyllis maintained that all the evidence against them was fabricated anyway. Lily made it clear she believed Phyllis would eventually pay for her crimes, but she refused to let Kane become collateral damage. Back aboard the train, Holden arrived to visit Kane before leaving for New York. The two men discussed Malcolm's condition and the stem cell donation. Holden admitted the entire situation still felt surreal, especially since he barely knew Malcolm but still felt compelled to support him. Kane encouraged Holden to spend as much time with Malcolm as possible because life moves quickly and time should never be wasted. At Society, Billy pushed Diane to stop avoiding her feelings about Jack. He suggested Patty remained obsessed with Jack and hinted Diane might actually have reason to fear her. Billy also challenged Diane to stop letting anger control her marriage if she truly did not want to lose Jack. The tension escalated again inside Phyllis's office as Lily delivered one final chilling warning. Phyllis smugly insisted Lily could do nothing to stop her. Lily fired back that she would channel every ounce of hatred her mother Drusilla had ever felt toward Phyllis and warned her never to make an enemy out of her. Over at the club, Jack gently touched Nikki's arm and urged her to finally let Victor go, arguing that Victor would never admit he was wrong. Ironically, at that exact moment, Diane walked in and witnessed the intimate exchange. The episode closed at crimson lights with Matt continuing to open up to Patty. He explained that he remembered flashes of Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and possibly running a nightclub. He had discovered a key card connected to the athletic club and realized people believed he had done terrible things in the past. Patty, clearly intrigued, suggested that maybe the two of them could help each other after all. Next update. The Young and the Restless twist, Phyllis and Victor could both face a massive downfall. On The Young and the Restless, Phyllis Summers appears determined to fight back, and she may already be setting a dangerous trap in motion. The most likely target? Victor Newman. Phyllis knows her future is hanging by a thread, but if she ends up taking the fall, there's little chance she'll let Victor escape unscathed. At this point in the storyline, Phyllis is finally realizing just how serious her legal troubles have become. The AI-generated evidence against her is incredibly convincing, whether because the technology was sophisticated or because Victor allegedly made sure experts would validate it. Either way, the material has been strong enough to push new District Attorney Christine Romalotti into aggressively pursuing criminal charges against both Phyllis and Kane Ashby. Christine, of course, seems more than happy to go after Phyllis. Meanwhile, Lauren Fenmore suggested that Phyllis might be able to save herself by returning Newman Enterprises to Victor in exchange for leniency. However, Michael Baldwin quickly warned her not to count on that outcome. Even if Victor backed off, Christine could still continue prosecuting the case. And honestly, Phyllis isn't innocent. But neither is Victor. That's what makes this storyline so interesting. Both Victor and Phyllis have crossed major lines, especially involving the use of illegal AI tactics to seize control of companies. Victor manipulated the situation first, and Phyllis eventually retaliated by turning the same methods against him. Because of that, it would make perfect sense if both of them ended up facing legal consequences together. It would almost feel like karma finally catching up with two people who have spent years operating above the rules. Even if prison time never becomes permanent for either of them, probation, legal restrictions, or bans from corporate leadership could still be on the table. Viewers have watched Victor get away with countless schemes over the years, and many fans feel overdue consequences are finally necessary. The case against Phyllis remains especially complicated because nearly all the evidence is AI-generated. Christine refuses to ease up unless someone can prove beyond doubt that the evidence was fabricated. Until then, she intends to push forward at full speed. That leaves Phyllis in an incredibly vulnerable position. Victor not only wants Newman Enterprises back under his control, but he also wants Phyllis and Kane punished for using the exact same dirty tactics he used himself. From Phyllis's perspective, escaping conviction feels nearly impossible unless she can expose Victor's role in the entire setup. Fans are also growing frustrated with the endless AI angle in the storyline. Many viewers are tired of hearing about it altogether, especially since Victor continues acting morally superior despite being deeply involved in the same criminal behavior. Even though Kane Ashby has hardly been portrayed as a hero, Victor's long history of manipulation and ruthless business tactics arguably makes him far worse. And while Matt Clark is widely feared and despised due to his violent and criminal past, Victor's destruction of Matt's company still demonstrated just how far he's willing to go to get what he wants. Victor continues behaving as though Phyllis's actions are unforgivable while refusing to acknowledge his own guilt. That hypocrisy is exactly why many fans believe he deserves to face consequences just as much as she does. Fortunately for Phyllis, there may still be ways to expose Victor. Amanda Sinclair, Kane's attorney, could become a major problem for Victor if she uncovers evidence connected to the Chancellor System's takeover. There's a chance Amanda secured backup files before the AI systems were shut down. If those records exist, they could prove the emails used against Phyllis and Kane were fabricated after the fact instead of existing when they supposedly were sent. That kind of discovery could completely change the direction of the case. There's also the unresolved issue involving Matt Clark. Although Matt currently struggles with memory problems, many viewers suspect his memories will eventually return. If that happens, he could remember something tied to Victor's scheme. Matt certainly has motivation to help destroy Victor. Victor stripped him of everything, and Matt would gladly take any opportunity for revenge. Hurting the Newman family, especially Noah Newman's grandfather, would simply be an added bonus from Matt's perspective. At the same time, Phyllis appears ready to take matters into her own hands. Later this week, Michael asks Phyllis whether she's prepared to return Newman Enterprises in order to stop the chaos surrounding the criminal case. But Phyllis reveals she has another plan entirely. That raises the possibility that she may attempt something Michael previously refused to do himself, getting Victor to confess. Earlier, Phyllis wanted Michael to secretly record Victor admitting the evidence was fake, but Michael argued Victor would never fall for such a trick. Still, Victor's enormous ego could become his biggest weakness. Phyllis knows exactly how to push Victor's buttons better than almost anyone else. It's easy to imagine Phyllis secretly recording a confrontation with Victor using her phone hidden inside her purse or pocket. She could deliberately provoke him, pushing harder and harder until he loses his temper. If Victor becomes angry enough, he might finally say something incriminating. Imagine Victor snapping and admitting something like, "Yes, the evidence was fake, but you can't stop what's happening now." That single statement could destroy him. Victor has managed to stay cautious whenever people like Chelsea Lawson question him about the fake evidence. Usually, he keeps his emotions under control and avoids directly admitting anything. His family also rarely challenges him aggressively when he shuts conversations down. Phyllis, however, is different. Unlike most people in Victor's life, she refuses to back away. She has a unique ability to get underneath his skin and keep pushing until he explodes. If anyone could trick Victor into exposing himself, it's probably Phyllis. And if she succeeds, the fallout could become enormous. Phyllis could threaten to hand the recording over to Christine Romalotti, forcing Victor into an impossible position. Even if Victor wanted to protect himself, he might not be able to stop the prosecution anymore. Michael already warned that Christine is unlikely to simply drop the case against Phyllis. At that point, Phyllis may decide she has nothing left to lose. Her mindset could easily become, if she's going down, Victor is going down too. That could force Victor into publicly admitting he orchestrated the fake evidence scheme himself. Otherwise, Victoria Newman could potentially face consequences for knowingly providing false evidence to prosecutors. Despite her denials, Victoria clearly understands the evidence is fraudulent. The deeper this storyline goes, the more possible it seems that multiple members of the Newman family could become entangled in the legal disaster. With only a handful of May Sweeps episodes remaining, viewers are expecting some kind of explosive payoff. And honestly, seeing both Phyllis and Victor finally face accountability would be one of the biggest twists the show could deliver. Phyllis has already experienced the humiliation of handcuffs before. Victor, on the other hand, has avoided that kind of reckoning for far too long. Next update. The Young and the Restless Wednesday, May 13th recap. Nick targets Matt with dangerous self-defense scheme. Wednesday's episode of The Young and the Restless delivered major tension as Nick Newman became determined to eliminate Matt Clark once and for all, even if it meant putting himself at risk. At the Newman ranch, Adam Newman noticed a sudden change in Nick's mood after he ate a sandwich. Adam immediately became suspicious, fearing Nick might be using drugs again. Nick brushed off the concern, insisting he had simply been irritable from hunger while going through detox. However, Nick eventually admitted the truth. He revealed he had come up with a plan to kill Matt Clark and intended to use Detective James Burrow to support a self-defense story afterward. Adam strongly objected, warning that the scheme could easily land Nick in prison. Despite Adam's repeated attempts to stop him, Nick refused to reconsider. Meanwhile, at Sharon Newman's home, Sharon, Victor Newman, and Noah Newman discussed Matt and the threat he still posed. Noah wondered if Matt's amnesia might actually be real and suggested they could use that weakness to their advantage in a surprise attack. Sharon was uncomfortable with the idea of her family getting pulled into another dangerous situation involving Matt, but Victor sided with Noah and supported taking action against their enemy. Later, Victor met privately with Adam, who shared his worries about Nick's behavior and informed him about Nick's murder plot involving Detective Burrow. Victor was just as disturbed by the plan, prompting Adam to insist they needed to keep Nick from carrying it out. When Nick later arrived at the cottage, he openly explained his intentions to Sharon and Noah. He told them he planned to personally deal with Matt and rely on Burrow to declare it self-defense afterward. Sharon and Noah both tried to talk sense into him, but Nick made it clear that his mind was made up. Elsewhere, Patty Williams spent time talking with Matt Clark at Crimson Lights. Patty rambled about high school memories and former boyfriends until Phyllis Summers interrupted the conversation. Phyllis quickly dismissed Patty and warned Matt that Patty was mentally unstable. Phyllis then detailed Patty's troubled past, including her history of violent behavior and multiple stays in psychiatric institutions. Matt listened carefully before sharing what little he had discovered about himself. He explained that he now knew his name was Matt and believed he came from Los Angeles, though he suspected he had moved around often. Matt eventually convinced Phyllis to have dinner with him, suggesting she could help him piece together the missing parts of his memory while also entertaining herself. Once Phyllis agreed, Matt mentioned a recent encounter with someone named Noah and noted that Victor Newman's name had also come up during conversations. Curious, Phyllis asked for his full name. The moment Matt identified himself as Matt Clark and asked whether the name meant anything to her, Phyllis froze as realization finally struck. Over at Society, Devin Winters voiced frustration about Kane Ashby's involvement in helping Malcolm Winters. Devin argued that Kane's actions were selfish and motivated by a desire to win favor with Lily Winters. During the discussion with Lily and Nate Hastings, Lily defended Kane and argued that his motives were irrelevant as long as Malcolm received help. She suggested Devin's anger was actually connected to the Mariah Copeland situation and that he was directing his frustration toward the wrong people. Eventually, Devin admitted Lily might be right and confessed he was still upset that Mariah had not faced harsher consequences. Lily encouraged Devin to visit Mariah at the treatment facility in hopes that seeing her condition firsthand might help him better understand what she was going through emotionally. By the end of the episode, Devin agreed to reconsider his outlook and take a deeper look at the anger he had been holding on to. For more of the latest updates and behind-the-scenes secrets from Young and the Restless, make sure to hit subscribe and ring that bell. Stay in the know with every new release.